Hey everybody, my name's Doc and welcome to my first Satisfactory video. I decided to do this when I noticed there isn't really any good up-to-date videos on how to make a decent computer factory for more beginner players, and automating computers was really the first time for me in the game where I was like, whoa. I'm sure there's better designs out there, but I came up with this one on my own and I'm pretty happy with the layout and efficiency, making 7.5 computers per minute without using copper. It's nothing crazy, but it's a great start for a newer player looking to automate computers easily without having to use any copper at all and fit it all in a fairly small space. I know this might look familiar to some, but this video was inspired by Total Eclipse, and I find it very easy to follow along with a grid pattern like this one. For this build, you will need a 8x20 grid, 247.5 crude oil per minute, and 237 Caterium Ore per minute. You'll also need 13 refineries, 4 for plastic, 5 for rubber, and 4 for the petroleum coke, 6 smelters, 8 constructors, 6 assemblers, and 2 manufacturers. You mostly only need Mark II and some Mark III belts, but you will need access to Mark IV belts and a few alternate recipes. You'll need Caterium computers and Caterium circuit boards. So get your Caterium ore and oil to wherever you'd like to start this build. You'll need to feed it from the bottom right of the factory. And on our grid facing inwards, we'll place down 9 refineries facing inwards and 4 refineries facing outwards. The first 4 will be for plastic, with the last one set to 75% clock speed. The next 5 will be set to rubber, with the last one set to 50% clock speed. And the last 4 facing out will be set to petroleum coke, with one of them set to 12.5% clock speed. We'll then hook our crude oil line up to all 9 refineries facing in. Don't forget, you'll need to overclock the oil extractor to at least 247.5 per minute. From there, connect the liquid outputs together to collect the heavy oil residue, which we'll later use to turn into petroleum coke and sink. Then, make a lifted splitter manifold to collect all the plastic going towards the top of the grid. And do the same thing to collect the rubber, also facing those belts towards the top of the grid. From there, in front of the plastic refineries, we want to place down a splitter so we can get our spacing in front of the pipe to place down our smelters, making sure to nudge the first one once from the edge of the bottom of the grid, and we can place the rest of the smelters in a line from there. We can then remove that first splitter and place a new one lined up with the input of the first smelter and make a manifold splitter line going into each of our smelters using Mark III belts, and connect our Caterium ore into that line. Don't forget to set all of these to Caterium ingots, with the last one set to 80% clock speed. Now, make a manifold merger line using Mark III belts to collect the output of all our smelters, with the first merger's output facing the bottom of the grid, and the rest facing that one, so all our ingots are sent towards the bottom of the grid. Then, place a splitter down in front of the first merger, and place down a constructor lined up with that splitter, and put down the rest of our constructors in a line from there. Then, we can make another manifold splitter line into all of our constructors going towards the top of the grid, and set these constructors all to quick wire, with the 4th one set to 50% clock speed and the 8th one set to 75% clock speed. Now, make a lifted merger manifold along the edge of the grid to collect the output of the first 4 constructors, and another merger manifold in front of the outputs of the last 4 constructors, separating our 8 constructors into groups of 2. Make sure all of these are connected with Mark III belts. Now we can place down the 6 assemblers on the edge of the 9th square from the bottom and halfway over the 5th from the right. Okay, I messed up. As you can see, I definitely put that first assembler in the wrong spot, so at the end of the video, the final output is out of the grid. I don't know how I didn't realize I did this when I recorded the video, but I didn't, and I'm sorry. But it'll still work all the same either way. Just put your first assembler down over the 9th square and everything will line up perfectly and stay in the grid, unlike mine in the video. Again, sorry. Once you have the assemblers down, we can set up a double manifold splitter into the outputs of each of our assemblers, and hook the upper ones up using Mark II lifts and the lower ones up with a Mark III belt. We can then set our assemblers to Caterium circuit boards, which is the key recipe to this whole factory, and have them all running at 100% clock speed. From there, connect up the line from the last 4 constructors with the lower merger manifold so they lead into the lower splitter manifold we have inputting into the assemblers using Mark III belts. Then, connect your plastic line into the upper splitter manifold feeding into our 6 assemblers with Mark II belts. You can make it nicer than I did here, but I was being lazy, I guess. I don't know. And if you have an editor, get them to snap a merger manifold in front of the assemblers, but if you don't have one, you'll have to set that up manually. After that, we can place down the manufacturers on the edge of the 19th grid. As you can see, I didn't do that, but if you place the assemblers in the right spot before, unlike me, it'll be on the 19th grid. We'll then make a triple splitter manifold going into the inputs of our manufacturers and have the top splitter's input of the second manufacturer face the bottom of the grid towards our rubber, and the first manufacturer's input on the top line facing that splitter, opposite of the lower splitters, and connect all these up using Mark II belts and lifts. We can then easily connect our circuit boards into the bottom line, drag our lifted quick wire line all the way down and feed it into the second line, and finally get our rubber and feed it into the top line. We can then set our manufacturers to Caterium computers, another key recipe in this factory, and have them both running at 100% clock speed. Also, be careful to make sure you remove the right splitters when making the lifted manifolds. I didn't have the circuit boards feeding into the second manufacturer, and I had to make this easy fix. Now we can connect the inputs of our last 4 refineries together and connect that with the output line from the rest collecting the heavy oil residue. Now make a merger manifold on the outputs of these 4 refineries making petroleum coke and connect that using Mark IV belts feeding into an awesome sink. Now all we have to do is connect our manufacturer outputs together and feed that into our storage system. And there you have it, 7.5 computers per minute without using copper. I hope this video helped you, and if there's anything I left out or could do better for next time, please let me know in the comments. I'm in no way a Satisfactory pro, but if you like this video and want to see more from me, please don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya!